Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video. And today I'm going to be talking about Monday Night Raw. And, I'm going to be talking about some other stuff too on, my thoughts and just giving my opinion on everything. Raw was an okay show, but obviously the things that are going to be talked about the most are the two promos that were made by John Cena and CM Punk the most, which is mostly what I'm going to get into in this video. But it's kind of interesting because John Cena came out, did his normal thing without running to the ring. He just walked to the ring, put the last time is now on the side of the ring or whatever there. But it's whatever. But the promo was really interesting because it's almost like John Cena watched my video last week. Now, I'd like to think he watched my video, but he probably didn't. But I feel like he did. Because he, as I said in my video last week, he is basically speaking to me. He is speaking to the fans that have been very critical of John Cena for his whole career, which is me. I'm not a bullshitter, and I'm not gonna fucking sit here and fucking pretend that I was ever a fucking Cena fan, because I fucking am not. Never will be. Okay? That's just the reality of the situation. I'm not a bullshitter like some of these other people that just all of a sudden started liking Cena just because, he's been there for so long. You know what I'm saying? But so for anybody who doesn't know or haven't watched it, I made a rant about the WrestleMania 41 rant about the card or whatever, about the card sucking. And I even made a short of a specific clip of me getting into John Cena. And it was about the spinner belt. And it was about, him basically being the reason why the product started sucking. Which is kind of ironic because I made that a week ago. And then, lo and behold, on Monday Night Raw, John Cena basically speaks to me about what I said to him and what I thought of him when I was a teenager. He basically said what I fucking said. That he broke tradition, which he's fucking right. He broke fucking tradition. He made the championship into a fucking toy. And I basically said that nobody liked that title except for kids of the time and people that had nostalgia now for the title because it's been gone now for a while. And he's basically confirming what I basically said. What I basically told him is basically what I've been saying. Look, John Cena is a guy who obviously longevity in itself, the Make-A-Wish thing, all that stuff, I respect him for that. But as a wrestler, I never bought into him. And I'm probably one of the fewest people that will admit that. Because I see a lot of people that I know weren't John Cena fans that are, because I've been on YouTube since 2010. Actually, you can even go back further than that because technically, while I wasn't making videos until 2010, I had a channel since 2007. Okay. This channel that you're watching right now was created in 2007 when I was in high school. But I didn't start making YouTube videos until towards the end of my high school years. I remember a lot of the people that were a part of the YWC. Yeah, The YWC, the YouTube wrestling community. I remember y'all, Gemini 686, aka 888. I mean, he's one of the he's the really actually the main reason of why I make YouTube videos. Actually, he's the one that inspired me to make YouTube videos. Trademark 629. I don't know where that guy is anymore, but he was someone that also I looked up to as someone that I got into making YouTube videos. I know a lot of people that are subscribed now think that I started making videos because of the Versus community and all that stuff that I do now, but that's factually incorrect. I've been making videos since 2010, and I really started making videos about wrestling more than anything else. So I remember those guys. Hell, there are even some people that blocked me that I still have no reason. I still, to this day, have no idea why they did back then. But nonetheless, that's old news. That's years ago. But it gets to the point of what I'm going to get into. That I remember people that hated John Cena for the reasons that I'm bringing up. And now all of a sudden, the people on YouTube that are still on YouTube that are all of a sudden John Cena fans. And that bugs me, honestly, because it's, you're not being real at this point. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, like I said, if you want to check out that WrestleMania video, rant video, go check it out. I also did clip a short of it too, to the exact point when I talk about the spinner belt. Again, it's just so eye candy at this point that Cena would say that when I basically talked about it last week. John Cena is the reason why I, as a fan, started hating the product. The whole draft. Maybe he'll talk about the draft next week. That infamous stupid draft moment where he was drafted to SmackDown and then later that night he was drafted to Raw because that broke tradition too. Maybe he'll talk about that too. Why don't you? I mean, fuck. Let's lay it all on the line now, John Cena. Let's talk about all the other damn traditions you broke since you want to mention that shit. Because yes, Cena, you did ruin tradition. You did screw everybody over as fans. Because when you were champion, that's when people like me that started watching wrestling towards the end of the New Generation era, okay, into the Attitude Era, that's the reason why we started not liking wrestling. Because of what you did. So yes, Cena is right when he says that. Because he did ruin it. He did ruin the perception of what people wanted in wrestling. Okay? He did ruin it. You know what I'm saying? I started watching wrestling when I was 6 years old. I'm 33 years old. So obviously you can already pinpoint the timeline of when I started watching wrestling. Okay? I started watching it towards the end of the New Generation era into the Attitude Era. I watched WCW as well because my favorite wrestler was Macho Man. I had watched a lot of old tapes of stuff. I actually bleed wrestling. I watched the older stuff too. Even though the 80s was before my time, early 90s stuff was before my time, I watched that. I wanted to watch all of it. You know what I'm saying? I had those tapes, and stuff like that. And I was able to watch stuff, the old stuff, like the Macho Man, and see what became. And to see feuds like the DDP feud with Randy Macho Man Savage, which was feud of the year in 97. Okay? I got to see that stuff. I got to live it. And then I got to live through the Attitude Era, through the unfortunate closure of WCW, through the Ruthless Aggression Era, into the unfortunate PG era. Okay? And, the only guy in the Ruthless Aggression era that I really, really wanted to succeed the best was CM Punk. And he didn't come until late in the Ruthless Aggression era. He came in 2006. He came in 2006. He's instantly the guy. The guy that I wanted to see, be the most successful. I didn't know what straight edge was. And I was like I may have been like 12 or 13 because I was in middle school in 2006. So I may have been around that time period. And CM Punk being the straight edge guy, I didn't know what straight edge was at the time. But when it was explained to me what straight edge was, I instantly loved it. Because here was a guy, I only drink apple juice and water, by the way. I'm being serious about that. I don't know if people are being serious about that. I really am. I only drink apple juice and water. Sometimes some ices, sometimes some milkshakes, ice cream milkshakes, but that's pretty much it. So I see someone like that on there. That was someone who I could relate to, and his wrestling was awesome too. But that's the thing that's different between John Cena and CM Punk. John Cena was a sellout. CM Punk was not. Okay? And CM Punk was real. John Cena was a corporate guy. Okay? He went from FU to attitude adjustment. Okay? That's the definition of a sellout. Okay? Changed an entire wardrobe from being the Chain Gang to the C Nation, all that bullshit. Okay? Which I'm sure he's going to talk about that too. I'm sure he's going to eventually talk about more bullshit that he fucked up with his, ruining tradition. Now, at the end of his promo, he claimed that he was going to win the title at WrestleMania and then was going to be retiring as the last real champion. He also said that he's going to make people forget about Ric Flair. Which nobody is going to forget about Ric Flair. And as a matter of fact, if we want to make this actually real, Ric Flair should just come out and basically, because he said on Instagram a couple weeks ago that Cena isn't breaking it, and if he has to come out with blood thinners, withdrawing his blood thinners to prevent him from winning it, he's going to do it. I'd really like, and I know they're not going to do this, but I'd really like for Ric Flair to just come out while John Cena's cutting a promo and basically say that you can't break the record because I'm a 21-time world champion. Because technically, Ric Flair is a 21-time world champion that WWE does not acknowledge. Now, some people have also argued that Flair should actually be a 24-time world champion. I've even heard some people argue 26. But I'm just going to go with what Ric Flair says and Ric Flair believes because obviously Ric Flair lived it. So I'm going to go with 21. But I have heard the arguments for even more than that. I would love Ric Flair to just come out and basically say that, you can't actually break the record because I'm actually a 21-time world champion and WWE just doesn't acknowledge all my reigns. That's what he should come out and be like, woo! See, now that would be breaking tradition right there. That would really be breaking tradition because you would be acknowledging that this entire time that WWE has been lying about how many times Ric Flair has been world champion. That would actually be breaking tradition right there. But yeah, man, I mean, he should just, why not fucking talk about how he broke tradition on the draft again with the Raw. He's drafted a SmackDown and then by the end of the night drafted a Raw. I'm still to this day, I'm pissed off about that. So John, why don't you talk about that now, since apparently you've seen my videos. Apparently, have you seen my videos? Um, because I mean, I basically talked about this all last week, and he basically just confirmed what I've been saying. Um, you know, but yeah, man. I mean, that promo. I mean, it's just you know even compels me more that John Cena is not gonna win at WrestleMania because I mean he's basically saying what he's gonna do. So that means like Cody has to defend the honor of wrestling. So basically what John Cena is basically saying is that if he wins, there is no sports entertainment anymore. Or there's no wrestling anymore. It's all sports entertainment. That's what he's basically saying. And he's basically saying that I'm the last real champion because I'm going to retire as champion, which that really doesn't even make sense because Edge retired as world champion. So, I mean, then shouldn't Edge he retired as world heavyweight champion. So technically he should be the last real world heavyweight champion, right? For the big gold belt, you know, uh, obviously not the same as the WWE championship, but you get the point. Like he's like saying, "Well, I'm the last real champion," you know. That's just yeah, that doesn't make sense. And that also would mean that he would not be wrestling any of the rest of his matches, right then? Because he says he's booked. He has dates after WrestleMania, but that he's booking, but he's claiming that if he wins at WrestleMania, he's leaving. So that's not happening. Cody is definitely winning. Um, like I mean, I don't see how he wins. I mean, WWE could pull anything with Triple H, but I just that doesn't make sense. But again, I'm still working on that video to really kind of talk about that. But well, yeah, he's breaking tradition. Maybe he'll break that tradition again. They're selling that point. But getting to CM Punk. So CM Punk later in that night, he made a promo, and he's basically saying on SmackDown there will be a contract signing for Roman and Seth for their triple threat non-title match, which is stupid. But Punk is kind of egging the audience on about what I really want is the main event WrestleMania, which is kind of interesting. That they're still kind of hyping on that train, because I thought they would have laid off on it by now. But he basically said that Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns can't beat him without the other person helping him. That's the only time that they've been able to defeat him. Which Punk is actually correct on this. Roman Reigns, which, by the way, I remember this, and you that are watching this probably doesn't remember this, but Roman Reigns beat CM Punk on Raw, and I think it was about 3 weeks before Punk quit WWE 10 years ago. And that was on Raw when he lost to Roman Reigns, and it was because of Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins interfered. This was during when they were still a Shield. Then, obviously, just last week, Seth Rollins beat CM Punk because Roman Reigns basically yanked Seth Rollins out of the cage. So, Seth escaped the cage. So he won by technicality. So none of them have defeated CM Punk by themselves. They've needed the other to beat them. So CM Punk is right when he says this. And I think it is a very creative way to sell this. that he's better than both Roman and Seth because none of them have been able to beat him one-on-one without the other's help. So this is a good selling point that Punk is making here. Yeah, but then he goes into a really interesting thing and he basically says, kind of leans into the possibility of him being inserted into the Cody John Cena match. He kind of leans into that. Maybe there will be something else, coming. And he really leaned into that. And I still am very skeptical of this. Because I just don't, the way they're doing Cody and Cena now, I just don't see how CM Punk would be able to insert himself. And now we still don't know about the Paul Heyman favor. He also talked about how Roman's wise man is technically his wise man. He also did mention that too. But again, I just don't see how the favor allows Punk to be in this match, which again, if Punk, let's say if they be like, oh, well, CM Punk, if he beats Seth and Roman in the triple threat, that allows him to be put in the night 2 main event with Cena and Cody. If that's what they're going for, which again, I still think that is a slim chance that will happen. But if that is what they're doing here, I just don't see how the marketing wise that's going to work, because they're already, marketing Cody and Cena at this point now. But with the way this booking this WrestleMania this year, honestly, it wouldn't be surprising, because obviously they've been flip-flopping with all the mid-card championships and the tag championships. Like, they've been flip-flopping it like hot potatoes, and they're still giving title shots, by the way. We still don't know who the Intercontinental Champion match is going to be. We thought that was going to be Penta, but they had the title shot now this week on Raw, and now LA Knight's defending the U.S. title against Braun Strowman. No idea why they're still having championship matches instead of trying to build WrestleMania. But maybe they are doing that. And maybe the whole idea is if the favor somehow, which I still don't know how that would make sense, but maybe the favor is that, CM Punk, if he wins the triple threat, that he gets put into the match, kind of like what they did with Daniel Bryan. But at that point, the only way that works is if Roman, and Seth get that same stipulation if they win. But again, if that's the case, then we're going to have 3 triple threats, because then don't forget about the women's triple threat as well. So I think the triple threat is... Now, Vince McMahon's rule was always to have only one triple threat on WrestleMania. Now, obviously, Vince isn't in charge anymore, so obviously that rule no longer exists. I do recognize that, but man, I just think it makes next to no sense at this point that they would do that. But I mean, CM Punk did keep that idea in there in that promo. Again, I still think it's slim, but it's there. I do see it. Maybe it's just CM Punk trying to, hype the fans still in the possibility. But I still just don't see it happening. Creatively wise, it doesn't make sense. But then again, the way they've built this year's WrestleMania, I think it's been horrible, as I said earlier already. So I wouldn't put him past them at this point. But anyways, by the way, make sure Monday Night Raw next week is at 3, just so you know. I think this is all the whole... I just wish they would just do tape shows at this point. They still are going to do it on SmackDown. They did SmackDown live from the regular SmackDown time. SmackDown can't have the special start times like Netflix can do because SmackDown in the United States, I don't know, depending on which country you're from, you probably see SmackDown on streaming services, but here in the United States, it's still on television. It's on the USA Network, and because of that, they get the contractual rights to it, to for the television rights to have the time the way they want it. So they have to have it either live on the actual time or have it taped and have it on the time. So they can't do what Netflix is doing, where they have the time, because if they're in a different country, they can start it, sooner or whatever. I kind of wish they would do that, and if you're someone that doesn't like spoilers, just don't go on social media or go read any of the dirt sheets. It's very simple. Not very hard rocket science. At that point, I think tape shows are honestly better for the talent anyways, because, it makes it easier for the talent, especially when they do the double taped shows. A lot of people are complaining about double taped shows. I don't have an issue with double tape shows because it gives the wrestlers more of a retrieval. So again, just avoid the spoilers if you don't want to know what happened on a tape show. But that's the whole thing. But yeah, it's gonna be a 3 next week for Raw at least. SmackDown will be in normal times. But yeah, I'm just really eager to see what they're going to be doing with Punk. And it seems like John Cena is leaning into this whole thing. And again, if Punk is inserted into the match, I mean, it's just it kind of will make everything wonky now because, really, I really wanted CM Punk versus Cody, babyface versus babyface. And I don't want to hear that they can't do a damn babyface program because they got Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Io Sky, all babyfaces, in a women's world title match, which officially it's not official as a triple threat, but it's going to be. We know it's going to be what they're going for, even though nobody cares about it. Like, the build is just terrible. The build for the whole match is terrible. But supposedly, it's going to main event over the triple threat, too, between Roman, Punk, and Seth. That's what I've heard from the sheets. Now, that could be wrong, but that's what I've heard, that they're trying to make it so that they go on last for night one, which I don't know how you put that match over the Punk, Roman, and Seth match, even though I think a non-title triple threat is stupid if it remains a non-title triple threat. In terms of drawing power, they are much more of a draw than the women wrestlers are, especially Io, who isn't really a draw. I don't even know why she's in this match. If it would have been Bianca versus Rhea one-on-one, I think you could make the argument because Rhea Ripley is over. And Bianca is pretty over as well. And that would be a marquee match because Bianca had never been defeated as the champion. But because Io beat Rhea, that kind of ruins that aura. And now I don't think, Triple H essentially hurt Rhea Ripley's credibility by losing to Io. Especially now that they're doing this whole that Io is an afterthought, even though she's the champion. That just makes it even worse that Rhea beat Io. Or that Io beat Rhea. Rhea is a stronger champion than Io, but yet you still had Io beat her. So, that's not saying, like, if they would have made it one-on-one, I could understand the argument to putting that over Punk's match, just to have a women's match main event, because obviously a main event night one, because I know that's been like a complaint for a long time, is that that night one should be, it should be the women that main event night one, uh, and then night two should be the men's main event. But that's just unfortunately not how reality works. It's really who has the best compelling storyline, or the championship. Um, but I know that those complaints have been going on for a while, and I think that's what Triple H is trying to do. But I just think he really overplayed the storyline. I think they were going to try and do Tiffany and Charlotte, but obviously once they realized that people panned Charlotte, and they were forced to turn Tiffany into a babyface, which her babyface turn was just stupid, but they had to rush it, because there was no way Charlotte was going to be a babyface in this storyline. So after that failed, they knew that they had to turn to them. And then they just overplayed it for whatever reason. I don't know why they had to include EO in the storyline, but they did. And now I don't, like, if they put that in the main event over Punk, I mean, it's gonna get a bad reaction. I can tell you that right now, because there's just no way people are gonna be into that over Punk, Seth, and Roman like that. Like, the crowd will probably be dead by the time they go to that match. If they have Punk go on, if they don't have Punk's match go on at the end of night one, the crowd is going to be dead for that match, like, because nobody's going to care about it. Like, I can just tell you right now, just from knowing wrestling, knowing how these things work, these reactions work. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Comment, rate, if you like the video, and videos, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell for the latest content. Thank you. And that's about it, guys. I am the S Ultimate Goku, and I'm out of here. Peace.